Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Wrath of the Righteous with me, Bragaton. Let's continue exploring the Ineluctable Prison. Bed is covered with old moldy sheets that haven't been changed in a long time. The Julian Demodan stares at you dully.
This is my kind of work.
An unfinished golem with small gems installed in its eyes.
I'm gone.
Bookshelf is full of rare arcane tomes, so ancient, even the dust that rests on them is priceless.
We do it my way.
Baphomet the Imprisoned. We're all children of Baphomet. Read this and pass it on. We have read this already. Right. Yes, we have. On the basics of sin magic. The roots of sin magic are in the 7 virtues of rule laid down by Archmage Zin, sovereign of the Thessalonian Empire. According to his teachings, the virtues charity, generosity, humility, kindness, love, temperance, and zeal were a gift from one of the supreme goddesses of the empire, Lysala. Only just and wise rulers would be deemed worthy of receiving these high rewards. And Metamorphosis, however, turned the 7 virtues into 7 sins. In Thassalon, the 7 strongest mages, named Rune Lords, have been made governors of each part of the vast empire that had grown beyond one human's control. Emperor Zin's reign ended when he died at the hands of his own stewards. With the Emperor deposed and a puppet installed as his replacement, these Rune Lords became true masters of their territories. Plotting against each other and warping Zin's tenets, the mages gradually perverted the 7 virtues, while becoming manifestations of these corrupt aspects. Greed, lust, pride, gluttony, envy, wrath, and sloth set into the lands of Thassalon, plunging the empire into the depths of depravity and profligacy. Said that weird. Causing it to crumble from the inside. And even though Earthfall brought about the end of the nation, it did not put an end to the Rune Lords' misdeeds. For each of them had foreseen the calamity, and did all in their power to prevent their death and the disaster that destroyed Thassalon. These scrolls look so old, they might crumble to dust at a single touch. This undead was dissected with great skill and care. The pages of this book are hopelessly ruined. It is no longer possible to read it. However, the soothing aura around it persists despite Baphomet's minions' best efforts.
I'm always ready.
The goddess protects us.
Oh, altar pash.
My tail is restless.
My
Reason to
skills are
pause.
absolute.
The room you're in looks more like a palace than a prison. Every part of it is impeccably clean, despite the fact that the cell's inhabitant has been dead for millennia. The words coming out of the dead man's mouth catch you off guard. Why hello there, my dear. I've been waiting and waiting, wondering what my guest was up to, why he hadn't shown up yet. Don't be shy. Have a seat. Eat to your heart's content. When you're someone important, you don't talk business while standing up, do you? So I'm standing up now, do you? We do indeed have business to discuss. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Alderpash, Rune Lord of Wrath, a destroyer and a conqueror, the great tyrant of Bakrakhan. Does it ring any bells? I understand. Many millennia have passed, and all of them I've spent in this prison as Baphomet's captive. It's been a while since I've strolled around Galarian. My heart was still beating back then. It wasn't until later that I became a lich. Wasn't fond of the idea of dying a prisoner here, you see. Well, that's all beside the point. The guards tipped me off that you had barged into this prison, and I thought fate might bring you to my doorstep. I've been expecting you since. Rumors about you have been going around the Abyss for a while now. Rumors fly free, you see. Can't snare them. Can't cage them. Even down here, in the deepest dungeons, a tale flies by every now and again. About the time you took Dresden from the demons. Or about the time a goddess and a demon came to coax you to their side. I've long since wanted to see you for myself, and take your measure. You feel the dead eyes fix their gaze on you. My, you're not quite as Lanti material, are you? The human race has truly withered since our time. Unsurprising. It's been thousands of years after all. But since you have all these accomplishments, humankind must not have degraded completely just yet. I want to know more about you. By all means, I see no reason not to tell you. I've got some impressive stories to share. I was a great tyrant in life. Good folk were scared witless of me. And in death, as you can see, my power is nothing to sniff at. I continue my explorations on magic, the kind that your generation knows nothing about. Go ahead, my dear. Ask away. He gives you a benevolent smile. So we have a common enemy in Baphomet. Indeed. Alas, I haven't had the pleasure of wounding him by my own hand, although I'd dearly love to spill his guts. Yes, I've heard about your feat. Ever since he rushed back to his abyssal realm and locked himself up in his citadel. Everyone's been going on and on about you, my dear. What kind of mortal is this that managed to injure our mighty lord? Alderpash lowers his voice in a confiding manner. He won't soon forget you. He may be ancient, but he's such a child at heart. He's been the same ever since he was created. All he cares about are his grudges. Asmodeus wounded him. Lamashtu left him. Discari doesn't see him as his equal. I particularly refuse to bed him. He's a walk-in collection of scars. His wounds are his essence. So you take heed now. Tell me of your great accomplishments. They don't teach you youngsters anything these days. Then listen well. 10,000 years ago, there was the great empire of Thassalon, and no nation of today could hold a candle to its glory. It was led by Emperor Zin, in accordance with the 7 virtues of rule. His reign was long but ended in tragedy. Zin was deposed by 7 stewards, who then split Thassalon between them. They twisted the virtues of rule for the sake of their ever-growing power, and created the magic of the 7 vices. By the way, those spells of yours, all those silly schools, they were all based on our concepts, except you lot have lost track of their substance, the power itself over the centuries. The 7 great mages of yore called themselves the Rune Lords, the first of whom was me, Alderpash, Lord of Bakrakhan, Rune Lord of Wrath. I'm not going to list all my deeds, that would be boastful. Let's just say I've spilled enough blood to fill all the rivers in Golarion, and the tears my actions brought could fill the same thrice over. Yes, my reign was grand and glorious, and they would tremble at the mention of my name for many centuries to come. You don't look like a villain to me. Alderpash snickers gleefully. Well, that's because I'm not one. They just call me that, and for what? Was putting 7,000 slaves on stakes for their rebellion an act of villainy? I had the well-being of others in mind. I gave them a warning, so they wouldn't die a horrible death. As for plundering neighboring kingdoms and beheading my servants, there's no evil in all that. Sorry, in that at all. That's just the daily life of any ruler. I'm prone to fits of temper, yes, but only when there's a good reason. If someone failed me, I'd smite them without mercy, it's true. But such a lack of restraint is part of my power and my talent. That's just how we Rune Lords of Wrath are. I remember, about 1,000 or so years after I was first thrown in here, a woman by the name of Elasnist came to visit. She was a fierce one too, ripped my skull off and took it with her as a trophy. Haha. Then she went to Bakrakhan, found the one who was the Rune Lord of Wrath at the time, the 3rd one after me, executed his wife and 7 children, and made the ruler himself into an undead. She kept whispering to my skull, asking for advice. She really took a shine to me. She was something, that one. The last Rune Lord of Wrath in history, mind you. So I'm not angry with her about the skull. Why would I be? I was reborn from my phylactery anyway. Good as new. Where do you keep your phylactery? Autopash smirked slyly. What a curious question. And what, pray tell, do you need this knowledge for, my dear? Methinks you shouldn't be troubling that clever young head of yours with secrets like that. Let's say you find out where it is. Then what? Let's say you destroy it. But why would you? We're not enemies. We're allies. Besides, you couldn't find it if you tried. I'm no buffoon. My phylactery is hidden in a safe place far from here. Except that he was turned into a lich in the prison. His soft, harmless chuckle could have fooled many, but he noticed his hand twitching as soon as you mentioned the phylactery. I want to learn more about your magic research. Oh, my dear, I've been keeping busy with all sorts of things over the centuries. I bet you youngsters haven't even heard a whisper about our magic of sin. When Baphomet locked me in here, he wrapped me up in his spells good and tight. The enchantment was so powerful, it bound my soul to this very cell. The things I've attempted to circumvent his handiwork, conjuring golems to spread my power beyond the walls of this prison, moving my consciousness into other bodies. So many minds obliterated in that particular effort, and all for naught. When I grew desperate, I whipped up some fanciful undead, just to vex Baphomet and lay waste to his jail. Must have slaughtered half the labyrinth, then stopped. It was too much of a hassle. I'm just bragging at this point. For you to understand my discoveries, you'd have to study as my apprentice for an age or two. You know what kind of education mages used to get? Far beyond anything they teach these days. Needless to say, I've hidden my most valuable creations and treasures far from this place, so that Baphomet can't get his hands on any of them. The guards assigned to me were so kind as to accept my modest bribe and carry them out of the prison to stow somewhere safe. His phylactery, however, was not one of them. Your knowledge tells you that Autopash could not have removed his greatest treasure from the prison, as it contains his very soul. Baphomet's magic would make no distinction between the phylactery and the lich's physical body. Now everything is clear. Autopash wags his finger at you. You spring chickens are also hasty. Wait till your hair goes white. You'll see how little was actually clear to you in your youth. Tell me about the Ineluctable Prison. Well, what are you interested in, my dear? I know a fair bit. My guards, you see, some of them like coin, and some are just afraid of me. So they tell me everything. I listen to their confessions each and every day. That's why I know all about the secret paths through this here maze, and a thing or two about the inmates. Autopash perks up and adds in a cheerful voice. Here's a story for you, a fresh one. Believe it or not, lately, this place has been having a bit of a pest problem in the form of rock. A sneaky little thing, and nosy too. She filches any old thing, no matter its value. But goodness, she is dim. She even paid me a visit, but thought I was sleeping. He giggles boisterously, looking at the bloodstains in the far corner. I had to, pluck, a couple of feathers. How do I find my way through the labyrinth? Well, what do you think demonic pathways are for? Haven't you seen the arcane symbols inscribed all over the place? Those finished scribbles are the portals you need. They tie all the cells together, and the demons hop right through them. If there's a place you need that's of any importance whatsoever, it'll have a magic symbol like that. Who in this prison can help me fight Baphomet? Autopash laughs, baring his strong, large yellowish teeth. Oh my dear, this dungeon is full of those who wish Baphomet ill. There's a catch though. Most of them are dead as mutton. Not like me, I mean. Properly dead. Their bones are dust, nothing but a ghost left. They're not going anywhere. That's the magic of the Ineluctable Prison for you. They sit here all locked up and cry. Oh, how they cry. When the angel was brought in to be tortured, they all found themselves a cranny to hide in. Take a peek between the stones. You might find someone who can tell you something useful. Tell me about the history of this place. The Ineluctable Prison is Baphomet's favorite toy, but no matter how much he brags about it, it's not of his making. Back when Baphomet was still a lusty young goat, he was itching to impress his mother and lover Lamashtu. He thought stealing the Prince of Darkness's most treasured scepter was a fantastic idea. Like any other foolish endeavor, it all ended in tears. Asmodeus caught the thief by the horns, gave him a good spanking, burned his cattle brand on Baphomet's forehead, and threw him into the Ivory Labyrinth to rot in darkness and utter rancor. That's where the Prince of Darkness made his blunder. As my subjects knew well, before imprisoning a thief, one should cut off both their hands, but that is the only way to wean them off this awful habit. Baphomet called to his esteemed mother. Lamastra refused to save such an embarrassment, and our little goat was left all alone. I don't know what he did to get the Demon Lord Ereshkigal's attention, but she took a sudden interest in his troubles, and gave him a clue about how to escape. Don't go thinking she's some paragon of mercy, however. She's still a demon, and her gift was poisoned. In his attempts to make sense of Ereshkigal's words, our goat drove himself quite insane, which undoubtedly brought his benefactor a great deal of entertainment. Yet he managed to solve her riddle, and once he did, he stole the Ivory Labyrinth and brought it into the Abyss. He couldn't leave, you know. Such was Asmodeus' will. But technically, he never left. He was still in the maze. A true rascal. The Labyrinth became the heart of the realm that he formed in the Abyss after his escape. He must have been feeling nostalgic about the good old days. How else can you explain the fact that he turned the seal burned on his brow by Asmodeus into his second personal symbol? The little hornhead must miss being tortured on the Prince of Darkness' rack. How did you end up here? I was betrayed, my dear. Sorshin, Runelord of Lust, was nothing compared to me. Yet she wanted to take my place as the leader and found a source of truly legendary powers. Naturally, I was furious. I thought I'd do away with the upstart. Even the odds, I made a deal with Baphomet. I borrowed a part of his might and promised to give him Sorshin when I was done playing with her. Oh, she was a wild one. But the Lord of Beasts came to me and demanded payment when I was just putting my cunning plans into motion. It goes without saying that Baphomet was more interested in taking me instead of some Sorshin. So, under the pretext of me breaking the terms of our pact, he seized me. A show of treachery on his part, yes. But what else can you expect from a demon? Not all prisoners are allowed this kind of luxury. Don't be fooled. This is all just Baphomet's idea of a joke. That weasel wants to remind me every day how much I lost when he captured me. He went to the trouble of making my cell look exactly like my chambers in Bakrakhan. My dear, sometimes I take one look at it, and I just... He stops mid-sentence, clenching his fists until they crack. You notice signs of repeated, rigorous restoration all around. Looks like Autopash has had a number of fits of temper over the centuries of imprisonment. You notice that, contrary to what Autopash has just said, not all of the interior of his cell belongs to the era of the Runelord's rule in Thassalon. Far from it. Many items in here came into use at a much later period in history, mostly those that are implements for the arcane arts. You can clearly tell that Autopash's phylactery is somewhere within his chambers, despite his attempts to hide this fact. His concern is understandable. After all, if you destroy it, he'll lose his immortality. The phylactery could be absolutely anything, any of the furnishings or the trinkets around here. Yeah, continue searching for Autopash's phylactery. If I found an ancient list from Thassalon, what would my phylactery look like? Autopash's rasping voice sounds hostile. Your curiosity might cost you dearly. Do yourself a favor and drive those dangerous thoughts away. Everything is clear to me now. Oh, that's wonderful, my dear. The youth are so full of curiosity in this day and age. What sort of business do you have with me? Here's the thing. I've grown wary of sitting here, and I can't escape. I've tried so many things, every trick in the book. Nothing. Baphomet placed enchantments on me that hold me in this cell and utterly refuse to let me walk out the door. And anti-magic spells have never been my forte. I've always believed incineration to be the best defense against enemy sorcery. And here I am, languishing in here. Would you, my dear, kindly help me escape? I'd make it worth your while. What do you say? What kind of payment will I get for helping you? I have something that could prove useful to you. Back when I still lived, I was interested in a certain plane called Jandalay, A remarkable place. A chimera of sorts. The graveyard for dead planets. Getting there is tricky, but I managed to capture one of the guardians of that plane. I wore them down in a torture chamber, bringing some of their knowledge from them before they perished. He traces an unfinished rune on the table with his finger. This is part of the rune of Jandalay that offers protection from chaos. A substantial asset in the war with demons, don't you think? Help me regain my freedom, and I'll teach you or your servants how to inscribe this rune. What will you do if you get out of here? Otterpash says in a nonchalant tone. Well, first I'll get my kingdom back. I'll enslave the populace, conquer my neighbors, maybe commit genocide against some particularly unruly nation. Build myself an army by taking children from their mothers, and putting the latter to the sword. Orphans make for loyal troops, you know. I'll clap everyone else in irons and make them work without a moment's rest until my coffers are overflowing. Those who are useless in both war and work will be cut down in mass sacrifices. Basically, I'll make myself comfortable and lead a quiet existence without bothering anyone. I won't help you. Clicking his tongue, Autopass shakes his head disapprovingly. Young people are so quick to judge, and I was so close to swearing that the misdeeds I'll commit when I'm free won't affect you. Think about this some more, my dear. No rash decisions now. Attack. It's time to release you from your torment. In an instant, Autopash's pleasant facade evaporates. His eyebrows furrow menacingly, his gnarled fists clench, his voice seethes with black pent-up fury. You would raise your hand against me, Autopash, Runelord of Wrath. I'll teach you some manners, ruffian. The pendant on his clothing flares up. The blazing runes come slithering out of the flame. They envelop him as he cackles mockingly. Let me just prepare for a fight while you're, haha, having fun with my lackeys. So they weren't expecting to catch me off guard, my dear. Let's see how you like my surprises.
They will break against our resolve.
Begone, fiend! Fall!
Don't hold back! Your end!
Alright, now we gotta find his phylactery real quick. This isn't Autopash's phylactery.
I'm off!
This isn't Autopash's phylactery. It seems that this liquid metal was what Autopash chose as the vessel for his soul. And destroyed. Easy peasy. Alright, Autopash's skull. Head of the Lich Autopash, containing knowledge of the ancient secrets of the Rune Lords and their horrific trespasses. Then Tried Hand of Martyr. Is that what he has equipped? Yeah, so we've seen that before. And Wrath of the Undead. This Cloak of Resistance +5 grants its wearer a 60 feet aura, which makes all affected enemies pass a will saving throw DC 33 or become frightened for 1 minute. If the saving throw was a success, the enemy becomes shaken for 5 rounds instead. Enemies can only be affected by this aura once. In addition, this aura grants all undead allies a +4 circumstance bonus on attack rolls against enemies under fear effects, and deal additional 2d6 precision damage on a successful hit against such targets.
I do what I must!
Alright, so we're done in here. We need to go find... solutions to these puzzles. So one puzzle is in here. So we found one partial solution on that cell. I think one of them we have to talk to that prisoner in the other cell a few times. I may be confusing that with something else.
Please, help me!
I don't actually remember where the prisoner is.
My will is resolute.
I think he was in the same cell block as the Ashen Lady, right?
We do it my way.
Yeah, this guy, I think. Alright, so the prisoner's mumbling in a rare dialect of Kadiran tongue. We're 6 thieves who entered this prison. Now there are none of us, so 6-0. 5 found easy deaths in battle, 5. And I am bound to 4 torments, hunger, thirst, cold, and darkness. So 6-0, 5-4. I don't remember if I talked to that guy before or not. Now the problem is, I don't know which puzzle is his. I'm going to assume it's the closer one. Nope, we've already done that one. So, we're going to go back to... We have to come and talk to Hepsamira as well. Might be the Kraglin arm.
Take care of it.
We'll find out.
This will be quick.
I will resist!
I will bring down the divine wrath. Eternal Rose, I call upon you.
Alright, so not that one. It's going to be... this one instead.
Prepare yourself!
I swear I talked to that insane prisoner before and I didn't get that dialogue. But it might be one of those things you have talked to
Follow if
multiple
you dare.
times. Alright, we can't activate that again, so you know that puzzle is done. Go over this way and speak to the ghost of Hepsamira.
I finished here. Is there more?
Hepsamira, Baphomet's daughter, and now a disembodied ghost. Lets out a half moan, half growl. Her skull is crushed, her wound exposing a gleam of white bone, and one eye dangles precariously from its socket. A broken wheeze escapes the throat of the once majestic and fearsome warrior. He stops screaming. What a relief. He's finally shut his mouth. Upon noticing you, she steps back in terror. Father sent you to torture me. Why? Why would he do that? I served him well. What are you doing here? Hiding. They say being the daughter of Baphomet is a great gift. But like all my father's gifts, I was poisoned. That poison is known as mortality. I'm a Nephilim, and unlike demons, I must share the fate of the most worthless minions of the Lord of Beasts. Upon death, the souls of all of his slaves are bound here, and I'll remain in this torment forevermore. Guess what? I'm still alive. I'm awfully glad I'm not a ghost with a hole in my head. Oljif chuckles gloatingly. Enjoy it while you can. Today I'm dead. Tomorrow you will be too. You don't look quite as proud and self-assured as before. She flinches as if from a blow, and whispers in a voice that sounds both defeated and hateful. All those pathetic wretches, the executioners and jailers that used to grovel to me, begging for my favor, now they're getting even with me. They hound me and torment me. I'm hiding here to avoid them. And a little while ago, they began torturing that lousy angel, your friend. And his screaming. Whenever I heard his scream, it felt as if my ghostly flesh were falling apart. And it hurt. You shouldn't have put your faith in your father. Samira gnashes her spectral teeth and nods. That old piece of crap turned his back on me. On the best of his brood. I sacrificed my own mother to him. They did so with hundreds of my brothers and sisters. And this is how he repays me. Her voice trembles with hurt. When he made me his archpriestess, he said that title would grant me protection of a rare kind. Every archpriest of a demon lord may summon their master in their hour of need, and the master must answer the call. They'll come, but they simply cannot refuse. Such is the power of the pact between the demon lord and their archpriest. So I think that's tied to the secret ending. Like that little bit of knowledge, which I think we knew that before. Well, we may have just learned that from the DLC, right? So normally this is how you'd learn about it. But my father came just to betray me. Why? I bet he was helping his new favorite, the one that took my place. Because that witch, Vorlesh, is precious to him. I hate him. I hate them both. I don't like loose ends. Howling madly. The ghost dissipates before your eyes. I hate you. Oh, how I hate you all.
I'm glad I was useful to you.
So the other puzzle, I think the solution is in that one cell we found. I believe on this side. Gonna head back over here.
I am never wrong.
Because I did not write it down. Alright, my star has 5 rays, and the 6th is eye. I bring light into your heart. Where's the other clue at? Because that's only half the clue. 5 and 6. Might be in here. Wasn't there a check on this wall? think that's where it's at. Oh, I walked right past it.
Is there more?
The rivulets of blood running down the wall form crooked writings. They read, "At first I was empty, then I was filled with three things: wisdom, guile, and malignity."
I do what I must.
So that has to be it, right? So at first I was empty, so 0. Then I was filled with three things, 3. And then the 5 and the 6. So 0, 3, 5, 6. Yeah, that puzzle's done. Alright, cool. That should be everything in this dungeon. We can head back here.
I'm
And leave next time.
ready.
Alright, we finally made it. And I'm going to call it here. Next time we'll leave the dungeon, and I guess we prepare for the City of Eyes next. And after we do Eyes, we should unlock a couple more things on the world map. A couple more things to do. Including the newest DLC. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.